Good day to you, Guyana, and welcome to another edition of Facing the Nation. I am Malika Ramsey. Thank you very much for joining us again this week. We have a really great program for you again this week, a very informative one. Of course, we're not going down the road of government ministers. As you know, our ministers and members of parliament are preparing for a sitting in the National Assembly as we speak. Some of them are even in some of those parliamentary committee meetings. So it's going to be a very long day for our government ministers and MPs and so on. But, of course, we still have our work to do. As you would have seen, and some of you read in the newspapers, that Road Safety Month is officially November. And, of course, that was launched earlier this week with what some of us are saying, very dramatic viewing. Some people even thought that those illustrations and demonstrations of traffic accidents and crashed vehicles were real. And for about an hour or so, some sections of social media went crazy because people were wondering what is happening on that day, that there seem to have been so many crashes. But no, as you would have known by now, that would have been the launch. A few weeks ago, we spoke with Ramona Doergen, and of course, she is one of the point persons there at the Guyana National Road Safety Council. She is back with me on Facing the Nation. I'm happy to have her back. The last time we spoke, she talked about this big idea that I got very animated about. That's the White Night campaign. And it's all about contributing to the reduction of traffic accidents, and not only traffic accidents, but general use of our roads. So it's really good to have Ramona back. Thank you very much for coming back to Facing the Nation, and welcome.
Thank you, Malika.
All right, great. Road safety has more than to do with just the Guyana Police Force and, of course, the National Road Safety Council and even us citizens. Sometimes we forget the role that public infrastructure should be playing or is playing. We only remember them if, you're driving or even walking and there's a big pothole. Then you remember that, look, this is the responsibility of the Public Infrastructure Ministry. It is my pleasure to welcome to this program for the very first time Mr. Kester Hinds. Kester Hinds is the Senior Project Engineer, Maintenance, Traffic and Safety, of course, attached to the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. Welcome to Facing the Nation, Kester.
Thank you, Malika.
Great to have you. Let's jump right into it. Beginning with you, Ramona. Kester, you'll learn as we go along that I always like to pick the woman first.
Yeah,
so
I'm okay with that.
Before we talk to Ramona, though, viewers, this is what is happening in the first half of the program. Coming up in the second half of the program, I'll bring to you some pieces and clips of the Minister of State's post-cabinet press briefing that took place yesterday at the Ministry of the Presidency. But for now, we're talking road safety and everything else that has to do with the usage of our roads. Ramona, let's talk about the White Night campaign. That is the big thing now.
Great. I am so happy that, Malika, you're so enthusiastic about our White Night campaign. Because without the media and persons like you involved in this campaign, it would not be as successful and effective as we want it to be. Again, we say the White Night campaign is the reason they use the White Night. Because since we were little girls, we always thinking about this knight in shining armor is going to come and rescue us. We learned that in the fairy tales. So I guess that's why they use the night.
The night.
And White Night means that the police will be out there in full strength that night, protecting the road, encouraging persons to use the road carefully, breathalyzing people, and we'll also have the public, private sector, we'll have the media, we have in National Road Safety members, and of course the police, who is the main enforcers on the campaign. And we have our minister. Those of you who saw the launching would know that we did an activity where we said attitude is 100%. The whole focus of reduction of accidents and reducing deaths in our country have to do with attitude. And if we put 100% attitude in everything we do, definitely we will have the reduction. And why I'm saying this, it sounds like if I'm a bit off course of what you asked me, but I'm saying this to tell you, our Minister of Public Security has given us 100% attitude support. So he's 100% attitude with all our activities, seeking sponsorship for us, assisting us, and any time we call upon him, he's always there to listen and to give us the strength that we need to effect these events that we're having. Because in any country, and Kester, you can attest to this, in all our training we learn that the political will is always very important. National Road Safety Council is not a political body, and we work with any government that is there and who is willing to work with us. So the political will is very important, and we are having that support.
I'm happy that you, let me just jump in here, sorry, that you talked about both sponsorship and the political will, because to pull off an activity like this, there has to be some cost attached. So what is it costing? Of course, not necessarily in terms of figures, viewers. We can't expect her to give figures here. Yeah. But what would it cost the National Road Safety Council and in collaboration with, obviously, the government?
Well, to pull off an activity like the White Night campaign, definitely the police force will have to bring out the police that would not be working a particular night, or it might be extra hours for the police. But so definitely that would cost the government monies because they will have to pay the staff. For us now, it wouldn't cost us much. Maybe we might have to bring water or some coffee or something. But definitely it will cost the government something because the police force is under the government, and they will definitely have to find a burden for all the extra hours or something they're going to be putting in for that particular night. But otherwise, the other activities, the government is putting in full support, whereas the minister has taken upon itself to assist us in soliciting funds to offset some of our major activities, like the driver seminar that we wanted, the grand driver seminar at the Marriott Hotel. He is good. He is assist us to talk to people, to encourage people to help us to get funding. It's about $500,000 for that driver seminar. Road Safety Council can't afford that, but with his support and his clout as a minister, we will be able to achieve things like that. We have started to achieve things like that.
All right, great. I'm going to come because I'm going to want to ask you a bit more, to expound a bit more on the driver seminar if you can at this time. But before we talk about that, the White Night. Okay, good. Let's talk about the White Night before we bring Kester in on the conversation.
Okay. Actually, what we're going to be doing that night we're going to be having roadblocks throughout the country. Mr. Moore had already started to prepare the point places that we're going to be at. We're going to have, in all the police divisions, they're going to be roadblocks. Okay. In Georgetown, they're going to be roadblocks at various spots. He already discussed with me important spots he think we will be on Sheriff Street, on East Bank, and I can't remember, somewhere else on Mandela. But we're going to come out with an actual matrix of everything, all the divisions, and everywhere where we're going to have roadblocks. Because like we said before, we're going to have the media on board. We're going to have, Massey has pledged their full support, the HR department has pledged their full support behind us. So we're going to have people like them on board. What we're encouraging the public to do, persons like judges, people say that judges won't come out, but I believe, and I'm always saying this, if it's important to you, you will find a way.
But is there a reason?
You'll find an excuse.
Is there a reason why they're saying that judges wouldn't come out? Because they have a role to play.
Because the judges are that important, they might not come out. But I want to say today that the judges will come out.
Important people get in
They will come out. Because why I'm going to say that is because in Barbados last year, the person who did the feature address for the road safety rally was a judge, a woman judge. I can't remember her name. It's very bad of me that I didn't walk with the name. I should have. It was a judge. The road safety rally on the west coast of Demerara was another judge that spoke at that rally, gave the feature address. So, and the passion that these judges at least the women judges that I saw spoke. Definitely, I know if we contact them, they will come out on these campaigns. The persons who like to talk, not who like to talk, who see issues in roadblocks. And whenever there's a roadblock, and you would write up in the newspaper or you would call on a television program and talk about all the issues of a roadblock. Come out with us also. We'd like to see you come out. Sometimes you have to come out and experience what the police or the persons doing the roadblock and what they're going through when they're doing the roadblock, for you to understand why certain things are happening. So we encourage everybody to come out. And what we're doing now is we're not only saying come to the roadblock. We're saying there are going to be roadblocks in all the different divisions. So if you're living on the East Coast, we're going to publish where these roadblocks are going to be. So if you're living on the East Coast and you want to be part of that roadblock, you can join the one on the East Coast. If you're living in Georgetown, you want to be part of that roadblock, you join the one in the Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is having this, reducing persons drinking that night.
Mm-hmm.
So a person's going to say, there's going to be a roadblock in Sheriff Street. We can't come out to this place until these people move or something, and definitely we're moving until we see we're satisfied with we not having any drunk driving at that particular spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then they might say that, and then they might say, you know what, I'm tired, it's best I take a taxi and go. So the idea is for us to reduce that. And the other thing is that we're going to publish. So on the 11th, we're going to be having this massive campaign. I can't tell you the times right now, but we're going to publish it.
Okay.
So persons will see beforehand that this is what is going to be happening in the country, and if you're going to drink and drive, you're going to be charged.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to be getting off with no free ticket because the minister is out there, because the commissioner is out there, because the traffic chief is out there, because Malika is out there, and she know the person, Ramona is out there, Kester is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to be getting off with no free ride here, because you will know beforehand that we're going to be out there, people's going to be out there, there's going to be roadblocks. So it's either stay home, don't drink and drive, or designate a driver.
So in
if
essence,
you're so drunk, call a friend, call a family.
So in essence, it's not necessarily to catch anyone, and I think you did speak about that the last time you were here. It's not to get anyone with their pants down, for want of a better term, but to get them to just not drink and drive. All right, let's pull Kester in here. Kester, and viewers, it really is good because since we've been dealing with this issue for the past 2 or 3 months, it's good to get a different take. We've always had Ramona and her team, and we've always had members of the Guyana Police Force talking about this issue. But now we're getting someone from the angle of the infrastructure, of our infrastructure. We always forget to pull this in when we're talking about road safety. What is not only the Ministry of Public Infrastructure at this time, but your take on the seemingly increased number of traffic accidents and road deaths that we've been having in the last 4 or 5 months?
Good afternoon again. Good afternoon, viewers. Road accidents has always been a problem in Guyana. We have had times when the numbers were very high. In recent years, I would say in the last 7 years or so, we have had relatively good figures compared to what it was prior to that. What is now happening is that because of the significant use of camera phones, the social media, and all these mediums, the message is out there that persons are dying on our roads or persons are being injured on our roads. So the public understand what is happening. And of course, it seemed very alarming. But if it was the same 10 years ago, where we had a predominance of social media users and persons with camera phones, I don't know what would have happened then with seeing what those figures were. Particularly when we had the high rate in 2007, when we had 207 persons killed on our road. That was really alarming for the practitioners. Yeah, but it was alarming for the practitioners, for us who were there, putting measures in place and knowing what it was or what at that point in time. But for the public who didn't have any ways of seeing or observing what was happening, because for now, you up onto Facebook, you can see someone putting a video there or a picture with someone being involved in an accident, either being killed or injured. And persons are seeing that, and then, it triggers something within them that, this thing is so out of hand. Well, of course, killing or persons dying on the road, it doesn't matter the number. But if it's one, it is cause for concern. One is too much. So from public infrastructure and over the years, we have been doing a lot towards contributing to what we call a forgiving road, putting mechanisms in place that can, if there is an accident, that can reduce the severity of that accident.
Okay.
So in the case where we have guardrails or barriers on curves, in the past or in times you would have seen it at locations where persons would have gone into a canal and drowned. I can recall one accident at MacDoom area there, where 2 young men had died early morning. We subsequently installed some guardrails there, and of course you can see over time you had where you could have actually seen the impact of accidents on that guardrail. but of course preserving life. No one died. I can recall a minibus went overboard, no one died. Because what the rails do is they absorb the shock, they slow down that vehicle. So the impact is somewhat less.
Okay.
Right? So from public infrastructure, and we have been doing our part, and we continue to do our part. We're responsible for the engineering element of road safety. For many persons are aware of the 3 E's, but in recent times it has gone to 4 E's: engineering, education, enforcement, and the new addition being emergency response. Emergency response is new, but is also a very critical part, because what you find, a lot of times there might be an accident that might be serious. Because persons are not trained in how to respond in an emergency situation, first aid and so on, they go and attend to those persons, and in attending to them might have resulted in their death. So that is a very critical part that needs to be added and to be incorporated in many training activities. We've been having conversation recently about having that included into the driver training as well.
Yes,
right?
Some members from the Red Cross, they were here 2 weeks ago, and they did indicate, and I'm happy. What I'm liking about this is that almost every program that I've done thus far on road safety, there is the connection. Because now I'm having Kester here, and this is even without me bringing it up, talking about the fact that we need this sort of emergency skill in the event. So I'm happy that the organizations would have been working together. Kester, I want to talk about what I've been seeing lately in terms of the brightening of some road marks and so on, markings on the roads, and in terms of laning and so on. Let's talk about that project. How far and wide does it stretch in our country at this point?
All right. Well, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, we're responsible for all the public road network.
Okay.
We have moved away from even the public road network, and we're operating within the cities and within towns as well. We're doing works in those areas, not only in the form of road markings, but signs too in many communities. We've gone to Barbies and we've done the same, Linden, Essequibo, and Georgetown. So our responsibility is countrywide. So we have been marking all of our roads. Of course, many persons would complain about the quality of the paint. That is a challenge. That's a challenge for us. It fades fast. We have to keep remarking it. But there are options that we're exploring with. There's a new technology. Well, it's not new. It's relatively old in the developed world, but it's new for Guyana. When you mark the road with that, it can last for at minimum 2 years.
Wow.
Right? We have done that on the East Coast 4-lane in the entire 4-lane up to Better Hope. That was completed, I think, early this year, and it's still there in its true form. So we're exploring with additional technology. Of course, those are much more expensive than the regular paint that we're using. So we have to keep marking, and we've marked all of our public roads within this year. We've marked all of our public roads. We're doing significant work within Georgetown as well, and we keep remarking. So as it's fade, we mark it. But in order for it to be sustainable, we need to have our maintenance program running, and that takes care of ensuring that these markings are there. The other important thing, too, is the signage. Signing is a challenge for us in the sense that a lot of time they're vandalized. Persons remove the signs for use for other purposes and the poles. So our maintenance program, we have to keep reinstalling signs. They're damaged due to accidents as well, and we keep addressing them. So likewise with the guardrail. So we have a program that takes care of maintaining the road signs, the road markings, the guardrails, even our highway lights or traffic lights. In addition to that, we are looking at even having more traffic signals installed at other locations that are of concern.
In talking about all of that, before I come back to Ramona, how effective are speed bumps, and do we need more?
We are going to be installing a lot of speed bumps. We have resurfaced many roads within the city, and some of them we have already installed speed bumps. But we have a plan to install speed bumps on many other streets within Georgetown. For the public road, there are some persons who say we should, but the reality about it, there are different types of bumps that we can use. Some we can put on the public road that is much wider and much safer. Doesn't really impact your vehicle significantly. It just encourages you to slow down. Yeah, and there are not only speed bumps, but we have other speed calming. Well, they're called speed calming devices. We have what I call rumble strips. So we have other options that we are exploring that we will be using. There's a project on the West Coast Demerara where we're going to be using rumble strips.
Yes, it's needed there. It's definitely needed there.
Yeah, because so far we have resurfaced a great part of the road with the forest level. And for many persons who live on the West Coast, of course, there are some challenges as it regards to traffic management and having relevant signs in place to warn persons that there might be a gravel section and so on. But when persons get onto the sections that are paved, they're driving at excessive speeds.
Yes.
Right? So there are mechanisms that we want to put in there to calm the speed.
All right, we're going to talk about another mechanism that some citizens are worried about. But before we do that, viewers, if you're now tuning in, you are viewing a discussion on, and of course listening to a discussion on road safety. As you know, in the past 2 or 3 months, I've taken on the task of at least twice per month on this program, highlighting what we need to do and what we need to not do in terms of our road safety. And of course, I have another very good team back with me. Ramona, let's talk about this driver seminar that you mentioned. How much can you reveal on that at this time, and how do you feel that it would help? And this is not only new drivers. We seem to be under the impression that it's new drivers. You hear people saying it. New drivers and female drivers, they say, cause these accidents. But we know they have people who are driving for years and continue to do nonsense on our roads. Let's talk about the seminar.
I want to touch first on the female part.
Go ahead.
I am a feminist.
Yes.
You know, in 2013, I got to check the other stats for this, and I know for sure it will remain the same way, or it's going to be less. In 2030, we had 94 males die on the road and 50 females. And you're still telling me that the female
drivers are causing
ain't good? No way. So come on, we're going to.
Sorry, Kester, we're the best.
Even I drive sometimes when I see somebody who's stupidness in front of me, and I say, it got to be
a woman. Yes, we do it to ourselves sometimes.
Right? So before I started driving seminar, I want to say something that happened the other day. It's gonna come back into the driver seminar.
Okay.
I was driving on the East Bank, and there was this guy in front of me driving an HC 1275. I tried to remember the number, and I thought I would have forgotten the number. And I took a picture with the guy's car, and he saw me taking the picture, which was bad of me to take a picture without asking permission. But I took the picture because I wanted to record his number, because it was so nice for me to see, as the road safety coordinator, after nearly 11 years, to see, I don't want to say young man, we're dressing up words too much, and because we're dressing up these words, it's not hitting home to who it's supposed to be hitting home to. I want to say a youth man. He was a youth man driving a taxi, but he was well equipped with his earpiece. And that was so amazing. He was a youth man. He ain't no fake man. He was a youth man, and you can see he's a youth man. He ain't dressed like no young man. He dressed like a youth man driving a taxi. And he was well equipped with his earpiece. And I felt so nice, because these are the things people ask me. What is it that drives you to stay in road safety? There's no much reduction in accident. You always got to go begging for money to do these activities, to help these people, to put their own house in order, to save their own lives.
Yes.
What is it that drives you? Things like this. Seeing this youth man with this earpiece, and he saw me, and he was like, and he wasn't impolite or anything. And when I showed him, I just wanted to take a picture because of your earpiece. I was showing him signs, and he was happy, he was laughing, and there was 4 other youth men with him in the car. So I want to say congratulations to him, and I want to let him get on to the National Road Safety Council. I want to invite you to the Marriott Hotel on the 13th. So come get to the National Road Safety Council and pick up your invitation. I want to invite him to the last.
Okay, well, I'll help you push that also on social media to see if we can get him to be a part of it.
Yes, just to let him, because things we see people do the right things, we need to congratulate
Yeah, because
them.
When they do the wrong things, I for one am, not guilty, but I highlight it. The first thing I do is highlight it when they do the wrong thing. So it's good.
Do the right thing. And it's only human. People adjust when you congratulate them. And then I always say something. Better to give people roses when they're alive, then they can smell it and the bee gonna sting them and they're gonna feel it. Don't give them it when they're there. Don't give him a eulogy and say you did the right thing because you had an earpiece in your ear. So coming back into the driver seminar, this is the first time we're gonna have a grand driver seminar. we're inviting the minibus drivers and the conductors from the 41 park, the 45 park, all the bus parks. We want the public transportation and the taxi drivers. We're inviting them to this driver seminar. In this driver seminar, we're going to have different aspects of training. It's not going to be nothing too educational, too high-tech. It's going to be normal rapping. You rap with us, we rap with you. You rap with the infrastructure guy. This is the infrastructure guy that's going to do a presentation on signs and signals. You don't understand a sign or a signal. You're asking why is it that the green light is be blinking all the time, or why we have this. You're going to have that kind of rapport. So it's going to be a nice thing. You're going to have we're going to have a nice time. We're going to have the police doing defensive, doing some actual teaching from the what we do at the, if I pronounce it right, the name correctly, the theoretical training that we do before you get the license. We have them doing some of that. We're going to have the Red Cross person doing some demonstration in case there's an accident, how to handle a patient. We're going to have the insurance company talking about breaches of insurance. We're going to have a lot of good stuff that they're going to have. We're going to have a question and answer after. We might even have little tokens to reward them. And you will have a signed certificate at the end of this program saying that you were retrained as a driver. Now we're going to do this certificate in such a nice way that you can actually paste it in your bus. So when people see you, and they're going to say, passenger can even call you out on it and say, but you were retrained, why are you still speeding? Or you yourself, every time you glance at your certificate, you're going to say, you know, I heard this lady or this man was saying something. The human body is set up like the body, mind, and spirit. And we need to feed all three.
Great. We have to begin to wrap our discussion soon, but this is great. So viewers, you're going to have to forgive me. I'm going to reduce some of what I plan to show you from the minister's post-cabinet press briefing. But of course, those of you who follow me on social media know that you'll get the entire thing on my YouTube channel or even on my Facebook page. Kester, I want to talk about those, and I'm sure Ramona also would have an opinion on this. You told me exactly what we called them earlier. Overpass, the overpass, the overpass, bypass, is that it? Overpass. Where you have a road at the bottom and a road at the top. I was explaining to Kester earlier, Ramona, that there are some persons who are a bit timid about that, including myself. We're afraid of the fact that you can go several areas in Guyana and you see a road built today. And again, this is not to knock the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, but these are the facts. A road built today, and 2 or 3 weeks after, it starts to break away. So the concern would be, how strong would be those roads that you're putting above? And do you have faith and confidence that our people, the Guyanese, are ready to change the culture up? Because you don't want to be driving at the bottom and then you see, unfortunately, a piece of the road, or God forbid, an actual person coming down on you. Let's talk, Kester. Yes.
All right. Yes, we have been touting some overpasses, one vehicle overpass and several pedestrian overpasses at several locations. Our initial approach is to have those addressed on the East Bank, Demerara Public Road. We have capable persons in Guyana and at the Ministry of Public Infrastructure who can design any structure to withstand any situation and, of course, to remain in place. Okay. So the fear of you seeing a part of the bridge or the overpass coming down, that is possible if you have or tremor. Okay. Not for it to just stand there and persons driving on it and it's overloaded and it can just fall. So the area that is touted for one, which we have started, we're somewhat advanced in the old design of that structure, is the Diamond intersection. We have looked at several other locations in the past for such an infrastructure development, but our challenge is space. For most locations and how our road network is laid out, we'll have to acquire private property, in order to build similar infrastructure at the other locations that there might be needed. If we take, for example, what is happening in our city, many persons might say we need a road above, similar to what we might have in places. If you go to Brooklyn, the cars driving below and the train operating above. Those are facilities that we need, but we don't have the space to properly accommodate them. because, of course, we've built in such a manner that we would have left a very small amount of reserve that cannot really accommodate development. So we are building, or we've proposed to build this overpass.
How soon do you give it a timeline? You see that?
I think a timeline was given that we were expecting to commence early in the new year.
Okay.
In addition to the pedestrian overpasses that we want to build, there are several locations on the East Bank which are very dangerous for pedestrians to maneuver. And of course, because of our high volume of traffic on our roadways too, we want to remove pedestrian traffic from interrupting the traffic flow, which of course will contribute towards making the pedestrians safer and contribute towards a reduction in the economic loss that we might be facing based on congestion and delay in persons actually getting to work on time and that sort of thing. So there are a lot of factors that having those pedestrian overpasses can contribute to, not other than safety, as economic benefit. So at public infrastructure, there are a myriad of things that we address. We're even into education. Okay. Because under the Fraud Road project, the West Coast Damara Road Improvement, we add an education component that targets modification to the school's curriculum to infuse road safety. So there are several things, is that we cross all the sectors. In the past, we actually dealt with enforcement by providing motorcycles for the Guyana Police Force, provide wheel clamps for the Guyana Police Force. So under our program with our financing from the various donor partners, particularly CDB and IDB, we get involved in several other elements of road safety. Right, but I must assure the public that you shouldn't be fearful of what we build.
Since you're assuring the public right before Ramona comes in, I am going to put you on the spot just a little bit here. How would you defend then? People who will say to you exactly what I said, but look, listen, y'all build this road here today, and I go, viewers, this is when I go into my regular Guyanese talk. Y'all build this road here this week, and 2 weeks, some of them exaggerate. And 2 days after, the road got a hole in it. How do you defend that as an engineer?
You see, when it comes to design, particularly for roads, there are a lot of consideration that must be taken. Okay. And I'm not going to really try to defend the road damaging within a very short time. Sure. But we design for life too. Like a road might be designed for 10 years or 5 years based on the financing that is available for that road. So take for example, we have to rehabilitate the East Coast Highway. We design it for 20 years, the last 20 years. It might cost $100 million US. Okay. We don't have those funds. So we can say, okay, let's design it for 5 years.
Okay.
And it might cost $20 million US. So along that line, we design based on lifespan for the road. So I wouldn't defend a road breaking up in.
But you're just explaining.
Yeah, right. So.
Okay. All right, Ramona, you wanted to jump in.
I want to touch a little bit on the question you asked him about is the way we calling it
the overpass. Yeah, the overpass. Yes.
What happened? I will ask Kester to talk with the CEO for the transport in Barbados. I'm going to give you her information, Miss Cheryl Innes. Why I'm saying that, they had a similar problem like ours, and just the questions that you're asking, the public was asking when they were about to do theirs.
Okay.
And they had a whole nice awareness campaign, and everything went to complement them starting and finishing the program. At the end of the program, what they did to open the actual bypass, they had it well equipped with wheelchair persons and everybody who could have real access, because all those were the concerns of the persons that were going to be using this overpass. So what they did at the end, they had a person with actual wheelchair came and actually used it and had media film it and everything to show how easy accessible it would have been. And so things like these you should consider putting together with the whole engineering aspect.
In the pedestrian overpass that we've conceptualized to build, they're going to incorporate a lift. That's for disabled persons. Okay. It's because we don't have the space to build the pedestrian overpasses with ramps. It's going to be steps. But to accommodate disabled persons, we want to incorporate a lift or lifts in those overpasses.
Because you also got to cater for senior citizens and stuff.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
when you go to how much steps, you got to see how much steps these senior citizens
can really climb.
All these things have to go into consideration.
Yeah. So we're taking all that into consideration. And the other challenge too is actually to even get persons to use them.
That's why.
Right? That's the important thing, because the reality about it is that, let's say when it's now in place, persons might be encouraged to use it, but they might look at it this way: I can run across the road and get over there faster, right? So they wouldn't want to use it. So we're in addition to that, we're going to sensitize the public, have our public awareness campaign, of course. When it comes to jaywalking legislation and all those things, those have to be enforced. So there must be some level of enforcement too, to force persons to actually utilize them. And we're going to put the engineering mechanisms in place that will guide you towards the overpass and not encourage you to use the road.
We want to stop using words like forcing them to use them. We want to use the words like encourage.
Encourage.
We want to come and lighten out. And touching on the things we had asked about the speed humps. I've spoken to Kester before, and I think this was a wonderful idea, and I think there's some of the things the ministry would be looking at also. Instead of us having on the main public roads, we're having the flat pedestrian crossing. We're going to raise it a little bit. So the car must slow down to roll over.
Okay, makes sense. So yes, it makes sense.
Persons now who really wants to cross can feel that that's the safest part to cross and the quickest part you're going to get to cross.
Yeah, you're getting them
because instead of having a speed up and make the driver so inconvenienced, because we got to talk about sharing the road with everybody. If we're talking about sharing the road, we got to talk about sharing the road with pedestrians, the cyclists, the motorcyclists, the bicyclists, everybody. The drivers also. They sometimes could be inconvenienced too.
Yes.
So if we have things like the little raised pedestrian crossings that he promised that we would start seeing on East Bank.
He did promise. We're gonna hold him to all of these things.
Yeah. No, right? That promise was based on another project. That was the Grove to Timeri expansion project. So within it's particularly within Grove, which is highly populated, all the intersections we would have had those raised pedestrian crossing, and it's somewhat of a speed hump. So that was particularly for that Grove section for the Grove to Timeri expansion, because it's not a 4-lane, it's just an upgrade to the existing 2-lane.
But this here you don't have to put speed humps. This would be raised of itself.
Yeah, so it functions as a speed hump.
It functions as a speed hump.
Okay.
And it's also free to cross. So I think that will help greatly for us.
Perfect. That's one thing I like about Ramona, even though she knows her area, she knows all the areas too, and she's not afraid to tell you how to fix it.
Yes. The 4 E's.
Yes, ma'am.
4 E's: engineering, education, emergency measures, and enforcement. And unless we learn about these things, we can't know how to challenge them. We're the advisory body, so we got to challenge the advisory body.
Great, and we appreciate that. And viewers, I must tell you, all of this energy you're getting from a woman that I took out of her sick bed to come here, so I really appreciate that. I must also tell you that as the month continues to go, don't forget it's the entire month. It's National Road Safety Month. I will be in contact with Ramona if she has any new information. We'll feed that information to you, and so we can keep you updated and remind you that this is not only about the month of November, but it is an ongoing thing. We have to try our best to make our roads as safe as we possibly can. Unfortunately, this is where I have to end my conversation with both lady and gentleman. Those of you who are now joining, if you missed it, you missed part of it, you can go to YouTube either later today or sometime tomorrow for the entire conversation. Of course, Ramona Doergen, no stranger, she is the national coordinator of the National Road Safety Council, and the newie, I'm going to call him the newie, hopefully this won't be the first and only visit. Kester Hinds. Kester Hinds is the senior project engineer, maintenance, traffic, and safety, and of course from the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. To both of you, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
All
right.
For having us.
Viewers, in the essence of time, what I will do is ask our operator to pull up the clip that I promised you. Again, because of time, what we're only going to be able to show you maybe about the first 15 minutes or so of Minister Harmon's post-cabinet press briefing yesterday, where he dealt with a whole lot of current matters. This is Facing the Nation.